Okay, so then this should connect to.
Hmm.
All right,
Hmm.
and
All right, we're looking live.
looking live. I didn't know what to
Yeah,
title.
that's me.
I didn't know what to title it, so I just titled it "Hanging Out." Um.
Yep, I see us. We're
Okay.
doing good.
Trivia
Good.
stay night. Yeah, that's
That
it.
was the
You
one
got
from
it.
before. That was the one we usually
Yeah.
did
I know.
before.
That's the last one. I do really want to do that again. I think we all had a lot of fun with that one.
That was unnecessarily fun.
It
I
was
loved the
interesting.
trivia
Yeah,
state
it was
night thing.
interesting. All right.
Well, no, it's
We
one of
did
those
pretty
things where it's
good.
like,
We did pretty-
we did
we
pretty
took a
surprisingly-
weird thing and made it fun.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
surprisingly
So by the way,
well
you guys.
for
By the
that.
way, I planned that poorly enough. You guys did so well. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna change the game show format a little bit though.
Perfect.
Like definitely, because that was like not even remotely functional as a game show, but it was still entertaining. It's functional as entertainment.
That way, there was the things you chose were exhaustive though. Those were some really cool one. The Moriarty Quetzalcoatl debate raging that was difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. No. There were some good ones. I thought. I don't remember who even, because the thing is, I only did one class last time. There's a bunch more. So yeah. Anyway, I'll remember to throw this away if I put it on the bed.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. What is up, y'all? It's your boy, Captain. Coming back at you with another Wubs live stream. We're gonna do a bit of a preview for an upcoming episode, upcoming meeting, slated for approximately 2025 release, subject to confirmation from the studio and potential delays. You know, we don't want to overwork any of our animators. They've been through enough.
Sponsors, we gotta run it past the sponsors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we got to run it by everybody. It's a whole thing. No, but so GBB 23 announcement. That's hype. That's big news. More GBB stuff. There's the All Stars videos that are coming out now, which are really exciting for us. And rookie move. Forgot to put my phone on silent. This is embarrassing for me.
It's all good, Johnny. This is a fun, casual Sunday stream. This isn't the kind of professionalism we demand from the podcast.
No, absolutely not.
No. You guys are seeing. You're getting a look behind the curtain today.
We're letting our hair down. By the way, don't we look? If you look at just our hair, we look like the before, middle, after thing of like a revolutionary new hair growth formula. You start with me, then Oliver, you get this thick, short cropped hair, and then you go to John, which is like just
nice proper afro. That's actually being held down by my headphones right now.
Yeah, I know it. I know.
Yeah.
It's
we also want to thank our new sponsor, Rogaine from Costco.
Oh yeah, naturally.
Oh, sorry, no, Keeps. Sorry, it's Keeps. It's Keeps.
It's the same thing. Doesn't matter. Okay. We're good. But yeah. So there's that, and then there was some other stuff we wanted to talk about too, about potentially doing 5 beatboxers to get to know me, or 5 other things alternatively. So I guess just real quick before we jump right on in, I did just want to say I'm enjoying my Discord background. You know, like we said, gotta try to satisfy our sponsors. So Discord, shout out Discord, and shout out what's his name who created Cyberpunk, the board game creator, Pondsmith, Mike.
I don't even know.
Mike Pondsmith. It's Mike Pondsmith. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, shout out to those guys who are sponsors. I just watched the Cyberpunk anime, and I'm really
so
feeling
good.
the vibe. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I don't have the game, don't care for the game, like the new video game that is. The anime though, fantastic. Also the universe in general is pretty solid. But yeah, so let's jump right on into, let's say, GBB All Stars, because this terms and conditions document from Swiss Beatbox
Goodness
quite thick.
gracious!
I'm not feeling
like,
it.
It was like reading Ulysses. It was.
Oh my god, it's heavy. It's heavy. So let's talk about the All Stars videos. So Gene has one up. That's been up for a while.
Yep.
Soso's got one up, which I was pleasantly surprised by actually. I saw Hiss has one. Napalm's got one. I'm gonna go to the channel right now and get you guys an official list of the videos that are uploaded at least.
I can hit you with it. I've got it.
Oh yeah, you have it. You have it. You have it. All right, let's go.
Yeah,
go for it, man.
In order, you have Napalm, Gene Shinizaki, Mad Twins, B Art, Hiss, Soso, Alem, and Alexinho. Now, Alexinho was just today, and his video was like twice as long as everyone else's. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Stuff. It's because he appears all the time. Yeah. That's the thing. He appears all the time, and he's been around a while.
Yeah, like 2010, he was a French finalist. The guy
he was a French finalist as a child against Alem, who was an older child, but still a child at that point, and they were the
17
finalists.
Or 16, 17 or something.
Yeah, I think it was. No, there's actually a few years between them. I think Alexinho was like 14, and I think it was like 14 and 16, or how old they were, something like that. Crazy. But yeah, all right. So let's jump right in. I want to start off with a positive thing. I'm really happy Soso made it. You know, I think of the post Sorrow looping world, Soso to me, I think is probably not quite the most consistent performer in terms of actual tournament results, but in terms of whenever Soso gets on stage, are you gonna have a good time? He's definitely been right up there for me. So I'm really, really glad he's got one. You know, you just feel the love emanating from Soso like at all times. So I'm really, really happy for that. Anyone got any favorite Soso moments that they hope are in the video? I've already seen it, so I know. But
I think interview is my favorite Soso moment. I think I think the what's up Soso name please. I think the
way he plays with tempo on that is good.
Exactly. The just unmotivated tempo downshift is an underutilized beatbox tool in beatbox drops. Just not halftime, just suddenly just gets slower. It gets really hype, and I like.
Yeah, just get it real slow, and then he goes into the hard drop.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
And then
so good even. Yeah, no, I love it. For me, it's got to be actually the most recent GBB elimination where he goes significantly over time, and he definitely knew. Like I think he looked back and saw Scott Jackson walking out at the 10 extra seconds, and he was just like, nah, they got to hear this drop. Let's go, guys. We're gonna party. which I just love. I think is fantastic. And given that Shogo did sort of the same thing with his wild card and still finished like well clear of the bar to make it.
Yeah.
Right? Like he wasn't the last wild card chosen in the
lane. He was like
fourth. Yeah. Right? He was fourth or fifth. Right? I kind of hoped, I was like, yes, I mean, you did it once, do it again. This is a different Japanese guy. Just, come on, man. And unlike the first one, this one came and he did it here, which like might be worse, but like he did it in front of an audience. So like, come on now. You know?
More power to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Oliver, what about you? Any thoughts on the GBB All-Stars? Anyone you want to see? Anyone you're excited to see that you haven't yet?
I'm not even sure, honestly, because I can't help but feel now that the All-Stars tournament is so hotly debated. You know, like who qualifies for the Hot Stars. So honestly, I'm excited to see anybody. I've been watching the GBB, the 2023, the wild cards that are coming out for that, and I realize I'm missing Gene more and more. Because he just, there's the macro level that I just missed with that. I'm not getting to the BB, but we can come back to that later. We can discuss that later. Long story short,
no, that's fair.
Gene.
That's fair. I mean, it's one of those things. I think we always feel like we I'm trying to think if we've even done a Gene episode, because I remember when we did an album review, I think the only album review that we actually released was the Shogo album. And I think the way we did it and presented it to ourselves was, all right, this is a practice for when we review Transcend.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever actually did.
We never
did. I think even with that, we have basically been putting off a like big old episode just on on Gene. You know what I mean?
I mean, it'd have to be a 3 or it was a planned full 4-parter. It ended up being like a 3-parter with a beginning, like an intro and conclusion episode as well. So there were 5 episodes about Reap 1. Gene would have to be at least 29. I mean, just to encapsulate. Even begin to encapsulate all those. But the problem is every time Gene comes up in any other conversation, we talk about Gene for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we can't stop talking about Gene. Like we
just can't. We can't not do it. You can't not do it. That's interesting because No, sorry. I was just gonna say I was saying that's interesting because like I'm still really excited for GVBs and stuff, but. I think this actually maybe takes us nicely into the rules. But before we segue into the rules, something Oliver touched on and something that I wanted to try and touch on as we, attempted to decompress from GVB 2022, which in more ways than one, not all good and not all bad, was, perhaps the biggest single beatboxing event ever, right? Not perhaps. It almost certainly was.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily the best, but it was definitely the biggest.
I think it was definitely. I think it was pretty measurably in a lot of different ways. Like I said, plenty good, plenty bad. That's how things work. Some stuff is good, some is bad. Mm-hmm. That's how stuff works. That's how it goes. But one of the things Oliver brought up about like the GBB and the way it works is that there's just something so weird that I think. Oliver, when you talked about it, you talked about like Colops winning it. Mm-hmm. You talked about Colops winning the solos, and you talked about the final between Colops and River feeling certainly at times a lot more like it belonged in 2012 beatboxing than it did in modern beatboxing in a lot of ways, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in an absolute sense, but certainly like from a listener's perspective, particularly somebody with like more. This sounds a little bit weird, but more musical tastes. It's definitely is like in that sense, it is kind of a bad thing where it's like, that's not really what I wanted to see at the pinnacle, And it got me thinking about the NCAA March Madness tournament because the thing is that like the way, no, just wait though, because the thing is that like bracket tournaments like this, what they do more than anything else is produce losers. I don't like remove any connotation that you have, any meaning you assign to the word loser, and replace it with this. A loser is somebody that does not win. That is it. That's all I'm saying here. Because that's what they do. You get all these participants, and everybody except one person loses. Or everybody except one team loses. That's what happens. Right? And, when you have that baked into the tournament structure, right? And then when you look at actually the way that they do it is similarly to the NCAA, is that seeding is important so that if you win a lot of games in the regular season, right, quote unquote regular season, right? Similarly here, it's like if you do really well in your elimination, you get a high seed. Your reward for that is you go against somebody who had a lower seed, who they think is less likely to win. And if you think about that from the flip side, right, what that means in any sporting competition is if first place plays last place, the best plays the worst over some time period in the first round of the tournament. What does that say about the worst team? Think about that. Because the worst team still had to make it to the tournament. Still had to make it there. The worst individual, the losingest individual, still had to make it there. And in the case of GBB, they actually cut eliminations. It's not like everyone does an elimination and then everyone gets a seeding and then everyone gets into the tournament. It's that whoever finishes 16th, finished 16th out of at least 20. Right? You had to be better than a few people. And in order to be better than a few people, again, by some measure, right? Think about what that says, though. Think about what that says about that. It's like, all right, your reward is you are almost certainly going to lose immediately. That kind of sucks, right?
Yeah. You have to,
And And it's one of those things too where it got me thinking about this, because not only does it suck from a sporting standpoint, but think about what beatboxing is. If there's one thing that we, I think, here at Wubs have tried to argue, or not even necessarily tried to argue, but I think something that we all agree on and something that we have tried to argue to the world, and put it out into the void, right, is that beatboxing is an art form.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And we even had an episode about whether or not it's a sport, right? We even had one. Like, there's competitions and stuff.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a fun one, right? It's had competitions and stuff too. Sure. Is it a sport? You watch that episode and find out, right? Listen to that episode and find out, right?
No, just look at it. Just look at it and see if you can tell.
Give it a good stare.
Yeah, I think that may have been when I got a little bit lazy with the bios for the episodes as well. So looking at it might not really.
It's called "Is Beatboxing a Sport?" with a bunch of question marks.
Yeah, it might actually hurt your brain just looking at it. So I would suggest listening to it, which will probably hurt your brain less. Probably. I make no guarantees about that. I'm not a medical doctor, certainly not a neuroscientist of any kind. So don't take my word for that.
You said that with an insistency that made me think maybe you are a neuroscientist.
No. None of that. You hear that?
My
Dave?
lawyers have advised me to say that I am not a neuroscientist.
Yeah, right. But it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, but if beatboxing is an art form, then like, why is this the biggest event celebrating that art form? Why is it a tournament like it's a sport? And when you look at it in that lens, where it's like this kind of tournament format on its own is already a little bit weird for sports. Like, yeah, sure, sports in general, you have to have a winner, you have to have a loser. And yeah, sure, there's going to be more losers than winners in general. But like, this specific structure is actually measurably really weird and kind of bad in a lot of ways for sports. Now think about it for something like this, where there's not even an objective, this team put the ball in the good spot more than that team did, therefore they definitely won. This is beatboxing, where it's like, it's up in the air. It depends who you ask, right? Like, it's just one of those things that it just, I don't know. It's a really weird thing to try to throw on there. I know I talked a lot. Let's see if we can try to glean anything from my big ol' ramble. In the meantime, I'm going to try to slog through the GBB 23 rules real quick.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak. I was thinking about that just the other day, because you raised a lot of interesting points, John. For example, as we discussed in the sports episode, football is inherently competitive and beatboxing is not. You can't really play football without a concept of offense and defense, because football has a set of rules. Beatboxing doesn't. It's just an artistic pursuit. Or a musical pursuit.
Which Swiss Beatbox might now tend to disagree with their giant rule sets.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, yeah.
That's true. GBB has certainly tried to disprove that with a rule set as large as the great Herman Melville's great novel Moby Dickens.
Yeah.
I'm calling it Moby Dickens from here on out.
Moby Dickens.
So anyway, I don't know why. It just occurred to me. So you got but I think you raised a good point. I was thinking of two reasons why the battle format. I think the battle format emerged because obviously beatboxing has its roots in hip hop culture, and there was this notion of there was already a competitive element to other dimensions of hip hop artistry, e.g., rapping and breakdancing. Those were already being organized into competitive events. So beatboxing sort of took that. There's no reason why it had to be. There are great non-competitive beatbox events, e.g. the World Beatbox Camp. I think the World Beatbox Camp 2017 is arguably the best beatbox event ever. And it had a couple of battles, but it was mostly... it used the battle of format, but it wasn't really about the battle. You had the fantasy battles. Of course, you had my favorite battle of all time, Beatbox Masters vs. Barry Wom.
Yeah, it was about the performance.
Exactly. So, but I was thinking, beatboxing is an improvisational art form in a way that, for example, movie making isn't. You'd feel like a freaking idiot if you were to if the Oscars were a bracket format. That just wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? There's no way, like, oh, on this playthrough of the Fablemans, it did a little bit better than Banshees of Inisherin, and that would just be a ridiculous thing to do, because obviously it's the same thing every time. Most theater obviously changes night to night, but it's ideally the same every time. But beatboxing is predominantly improvisational, and the battle format gives a way for the is a forum for improvising off of the other person, right? That's what a battle is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be something that you couldn't do just by yourself. You feed off of the other person, and you respond to and battle with the other person, and your opponent in the battle. That's ideally the case. Although we might not articulate it this way, oftentimes the reason we respond to bad battles is it just sounds like two people are just doing routines, and they happen to be looking at each other, but there's no sense of improvisation, there's no sense of playing off of them. And the great battlers like Kayla, Milady, and Alem nearly always are great improvisers as well. Not even in terms of changing their routines,
but in terms of responding.
Exactly, in terms of making parts of their routines responses to their opponents. And there's great artistic potential there, and there's great potential for narrative artistic storytelling there, which I think beatboxing sometimes has. And I think there's also practical reasons. The problem is, River alone, as amazing as he is, couldn't sell out a huge venue for his performance. You had to get, in order to get the kind of venue that the kind of scale that GBB 2021 wanted to have, and even so, as I understand it, they didn't sell as many tickets as they were hoping to. But in order to even approach that kind of scale, they had to get almost literally the best. There were about 65 beatboxers involved in terms of judging and performing. They had to get literally the top 65 of the top 80 beatboxers of all time. That's barely an exaggeration. In order to reach that scale, because beatboxing is such a it's still such a, as much as we talk about its exponential growth, it's still such a new and in many ways struggling art form. But anyway, that was just
no.
Rant,
it's good. Oh, that was a lot of good stuff. I think as well, to pivot off of that, the other thing that comes to mind is that it's just like, if you have that many beatboxers in one place anyway, like, one of the things that really struck me about the beatboxing events, and this is something where the analogy to sports actually track, is that there's two things where the analogy to sports actually really tracks in terms of actual real life professional sports, which is one, especially nowadays at least, all of those people, almost all of them, are pretty good friends actually. Even the hottest contested rivalries, none of them really hate each other off the field. They don't care off the field at all, right? Like even if it's like a team, even if it's like a rivalry in one game where it's like there's contentious refereeing decisions and there's like maybe some scuffles and disagreements and what have you, some hullabaloo, if you will.
I will. Yeah.
Perhaps even skullduggery. Okay, I'm done. I promise. Right.
Brouhaha, if you will.
Right. You'll get these really incredible moments of pathos where, after the game, they all still shake hands, fist bump, this, that, the other thing. Maybe if somebody is like really pissed, they like might not do anything. But the thing is, the fact that they're not doing anything tells you how much respect they actually have for the other team and their opponents as people. Because by not doing anything, they're saying, nah, if you get too close to me, I might actually punch you, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna go over here till I cool off. And in real beatboxing, there's that as well. There's like everyone talks about how, beatboxing is a family and this, that, the other thing. And obviously there's a lot of ways where that's maybe trite and a bit, perhaps a bit shallow or performative and untrue. that's the cynical part of me. But also, like, you know, the non-cynical part of me, small though it may be, it is there. Says there is some truth to that, and you can really see it, right?
And the community's at its best when it's like gathered around that ideal, you know, like coming together as a family.
Yeah, when we're here to have fun, you know what I mean? We're here to have fun and beatbox and do this thing we like to do, right? And the thing that really strikes me is that I'm just like, if you, all right, you keep having, say you keep having the GBB, right? Whatever, and they have put on other camps, haven't they?
Yeah, they've had a couple of beatbox camps. I think they had 2017, 2018, and 2019.
Yeah, they seem to still be doing that. Why? They seem to be wanting to expand the battle more than they want to expand the camp. And what Roman said really spoke to me, which was like, as awesome as River is, as much as we love River probably couldn't sell out a reasonable venue, a venue of non-zero significance, let's say, right, by himself. The 65 of the best 80 beatboxers to ever live could do that easily. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why are you doing that only for the battle? Why aren't you giving the same attention to camp? Just because it's like, I don't know, it feels very much like, because a lot of the community and stuff is online, and the modern internet is a bit of a hellscape. And by a bit, I mean a lot, but like, you know,
a wee bit.
I don't really want to, I don't really want to get into that, right? It's a modern hellscape in the sense that, like, the biggest dedicated beatboxing channel by far is, there's only one, and it's only one organization, and they do things their way. They only do it one way. And because it's the biggest one, and because the community's kind of online, we kind of look at that and we go, okay, that's the pinnacle of beatboxing. Is it though? Nothing says that actually is. It's just that Swiss Beatbox happens to be the enduring beatboxing organization. It's the biggest beatboxing organization. And the individual biggest beatboxers that are still around and still beatboxing, you know, in some capacity, and still doing things in some capacity, are still in part contributing to that organization by doing shout-outs. Insofar as there is any legal precedence for this, it's a very decentralized, the industry part of it's very decentralized. It's not very well set up. That's why they're kind of just hitching onto the modern music industry and streaming and stuff. But to the extent that it does matter, the biggest beatboxers in the world are letting Swiss Beatbox use their image, right? And we have seen that when that Swiss Beatbox is broadly respectful of people who say, actually, I don't want you to use my image, take it down. Is that when that has happened, they seem to have actually been responsive to that. But the biggest beatboxers are still contributing to it, and so it lends this air of legitimacy to, in a sense, everything that they do, even though everything that we're saying here, you know, maybe not exactly the same thing, but a lot of stuff, we've echoed sentiments from within the community as well, where it's like, actually, I don't know, like, you know, the battles were great, but GBB 21 kind of sucked for a lot of reasons, for a lot of people, in a lot of ways, right? And like, I wanted better organization. I wanted more of this, and I wanted more of that.
D-Lo just had a video, actually, that talked about it.
D-Lo?
D-Lo put out a video talking about GBB 21 and like the backstage stuff and the stuff that we didn't get to see until, and the first thing he says in it, the title of the video is, "This should have come out sooner. This video should have been made sooner."
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe we can do an episode about that, because I'd really love to. But it's just one of those things that it really, really gets to me, because I'm kind of sitting here and I'm like, you know, there's looking at the GBB rules, right, where they were like, okay, there's going to be a cash prize for the wild cards. I didn't fully read everything there, but there's like a corporatization of Swiss Beatbox that seems to be going on now, which feels like it's a response to a lot of factors that happened to culminate and come to blows at the most recent GBB, right? But I do still think that it's worth thinking about, you know, as an individual, as a group here, and as a community in general, like, broadly speaking, we all want the same thing. We want to keep beatboxing, and we want to keep enjoying beatboxing, perhaps our own or from others, right?
Yeah.
And it seems that the best way to do that for the most people is to keep having these tournaments, sure, but I don't know. Like, it seems to me like it's just like, you know, I would, at this point, right, if there were, say, a big music festival, you know, like Coachella, that's run a bit like the performance aspects of the Swiss Beatbox Camp, where it was like the more established beatboxers came on stage and performed, right? If that was an entire beatboxing event kind of thing, I was like, why don't we just do that? Like, obviously, you were still going to want to keep the battles. I assume people want to win stuff. People are competitive by nature in some capacity. But it's like, why don't we just do that again? That was great. Like, that was so much fun, you know? And it feels like, to me, not trying to have more variety and trying to grow that. And perhaps there are things that we're not seeing where this is actually what's going on and what people are trying to do. It's just that we haven't observed it. So that's worth noting. But it's just an interesting thing about, like, I don't know, I guess, like, the direction of the community and the future of beatboxing as an art form. Like, if it's going to be turned into a purely competitive thing. Because I like the improvisational aspect of battles. I really do. And I think that's another reason that it's a good analog with sports, is that team sports especially are by nature improvisational to some degree, right? Even though there are set plays, there's room for improvisation within them to some degree.
No, absolutely.
But it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just a lot of stuff.
Kind of speaking to that, right? Like when I looked at the rule set, right? It really felt like the Swiss Beatbox had just, I mean, they'd done the math, you know, which is something that honestly, like, they probably should have done earlier, right? So that a lot of the things that happened at 2021 wouldn't happen again, and I don't fault them for that at all, right? But at the same time, and this comes back to the bracket thing, right? Why is the lowest seed placed against the highest seed? It's because at the end of the day, everybody wants to have that story. I mean, like, I'm not a jock, but I mean, I've been in a couple of tournaments, and that's how it works, right? No one wants to see your dumb little team play against some random dumb little team. In order to give the people who showed up the best shot of seeing the two titans of industry, you know, face off, right? Everybody else has to get it out of the way. And
yeah,
so, like,
sure.
so
I
like,
see what you mean.
And so, like, in tennis teams, right, you do the numbers 1 and 2, they get the top seeds, because at the end of the day, everyone believes that's going to be, like, that's the most fitting finale. You know,
right?
It's never truly
that's what that
random,
means. Yeah,
right. And and in GBB, since they've done that, that's the same story. They want to see the two titans of industry come in, even though it's been pretty well documented, right? That there's a lot of good and frankly equal talent in the community, to the point where you have, like, Codfish versus D-Lo. They're the finals and they're exhausted. They've used everything they've got, and it's just kind of like, oh, this is the battle.
Yeah, right.
Not really the battle I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, right. No, because, like, the way it's like, everything about the way it's structured, where it's like, okay, well, if these are the seeds, like, why don't you just get there in the first place? Because, like, in tennis, the 1 and 2 seed, right? And obviously, I think, and again, I'm not an expert on tennis, but I think recently, both in men's and women's, there have been a slew of anywhere between 5 and literally just 1 tennis players who are clearly just way better than everyone for like most of our lifetimes. Right. For women's, it's the Williams sisters, primarily Serena, of course. And then for men's, it's gone from, like, Pete Sampras to Federer to, like, Nadal for a bit, Djokovic, that kind of deal. Right. But with beatboxing, it is not like that at all.
No, and
it's just such a varied thing, because it's not a sport; it's an art form.
And it sucks too, like, like if you're rooting for somebody, right, and they get put against your top seed, and they're booted immediately from the tournament. And which brings me kind of to my next point, right? Which is that it seems they've also, like, forgotten about how GBB didn't used to just be the home for battling, right? It was for a couple of years the central
It was
hub,
the opposite.
Yeah, the central hub of any form of beatbox content creation at all. You know?
Darnie is a 2-time GBB winner. I think that's a testament to the fact that it's not just about the battling; it's about the beatboxing in general.
About the beatboxing.
You know, historically speaking.
And you
right?
and like you look forward to seeing your favorite beatboxer not necessarily go through. I mean, some of you, I'm sure, go through the tournament, demolish everybody in your path. You want to see Napalm, you know, literally tell this guy he can't roll like this, and the guy can't roll like that. Like, you want to see that happen to him, right?
He can't do it.
He can't do it. He can't roll.
Sir, medics over here. He can't roll like that.
He can't roll
like that.
And it just and don't get me wrong, these tournaments are great for feeding into that energy, and like I'm never gonna fault anybody for wanting to do that, but at the same time, with so many rising artists and with so many emerging styles, right? It can really come down to subjectivity, and we've now hit a crossroads where how do we objectify a subjective thing?
Yeah.
Like like in the GBB, I would have loved to see Stitch have go further.
Yeah, sure. Right? Oh, absolutely. A lot of people would have. And the thing is, right, is that the thing about this is that you can say that about Stitch. I can say that about Improver.
Yep.
And then like around the world, thousands, potentially millions. I'm gonna say stay safe and say thousands though.
Yeah.
Thousands of people each for guys that we've said and for beatboxers that we haven't said.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably thousands of people out there who are like, man, Chihuahua didn't make it. Like, come on, our wild card was dope. You know what I mean?
Chihuahua didn't make it. Like oh my god.
Like whoever. You know, and that's kind of the way it goes.
And there's no ground anymore for them to stand on. Right? You didn't make the battles. You're out. You don't get to perform this year. I'm sorry. And if you're a fan, you never see them again.
Yeah. Right. That's one of the things that I love too, is that it's like, you know, Wing showed up because he was with Jackpot, right? And Jackpot did qualify to compete, and they did. They got to do their elimination. Somehow didn't get farther. We don't want to relitigate that though. And by we, I mean me, for my own sake. I will blow a gasket.
That was I was as depressed as you were. That they should have won. That was easily the best tag team elimination.
But anyway,
but like Wing was there, and they were like, "Oh, Wing is here the first night." They're like, "Oh, he's early for Jackpot," and they were like, "Well, yeah, come up and do a showcase, man." And it was casually one of the best showcases there, you know. And I say one of the best showcases there, like they weren't all awesome. They were all awesome, but you know what I'm getting at, right? Like, it's just something wild, and especially when you consider that, right? We've talked about this before, where it's like a lot of our actual favorite battles don't have much of an element of battling in them at all.
Gene versus Napalm, one of my favorite battles. Not serious at all.
It's not a battle at all for half of it. The first half literally isn't a battle.
Literally not a battle.
And then it's more of a battle. But like even after that, they're still doing stuff that they usually do, but a little bit heavier and a little bit more like in each other's faces about it, right? You know, Barry One Beatbox House. That's just two groups going up there and doing god tier shit, right?
Also,
they're just vibing.
Props to Barry One
they're just
for
vibing.
America's Got Talent.
Oh yeah. Congratulations to them. They made the All Stars, right?
If they're on All Stars. If they're watching.
Yeah, right, yeah. No, for
real. Shout out, hey, Barry One.
Hey, Barry One, how's it going?
Everyone.
Don't.
I'm not throw tapping for longer than that. I don't know how MB14 keeps doing it. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how Jayden keeps doing it, because
Jayden's because MB14 is like singing. Jayden's already doing like a vocal distortion, which sounds painful on its own.
And he's just stabbing himself.
Yeah,
too.
It's honestly like you can feel it in your throat when he does that. Like, anyway.
Yeah, no, I watch it. I'm like, ooh.
There's no way that's healthy.
Yeah, no, but sorry, no. To get back to my point though, that's like. A lot of my favorite battles and like my favorite moments in battles and stuff aren't in these big actual battles. They're in like the little stuff, like the Florida beatbox battles, which is like, you know, it's like the French ones where they're just like, all right, guys, we're gonna have some fun, you know. There was one that was in like Germany, and like Wing and Footbox G were there, and they did it all sorts of different places. There was like one in a mall, and there was a different battle format. It was like ABBA. But it wasn't the shootout. It was something else. I'll find it. It's fine, right? There's like, you know, the like plenty of smaller battles like popping up in like Korea and in Japan and stuff. And then at these battles, they'll get like one or two of the big names, usually locally, right? Like locally to that country at least.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get these crazy moments like Napalm and Auticle doing one of the sickest battles I've ever seen. Thousands of miles from a GBB stage. Actually, to my knowledge, thousands of miles from a stage that even qualifies you for the GBB. I think it was just like a
it was just a battle. It was just a battle that they hosted.
Yeah, it was like maybe at one of the parties or something. I'm not sure. Maybe not one of the parties, but you know what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where anyway, I don't want to get like too lost in the weeds, but it's a really, really dope battle. Auticle does Auticle's thing, Napalm does Napalm's thing, and then Napalm then says, and Napalm does his own thing, his usual stuff, right? And then ends his round with, up next, inward base, everybody, Auticle. And then Auticle goes and starts his thing. I think he does end up doing inward base that round.
He
I'm
does
actually positive. His round is sick.
Yeah, it does inward base.
Yeah, his round is sick nonetheless. And he says, you lip roll every round, bro. And then immediately back to Napalm is like, all right, he caught my bait, no lip rolls. Napalm does like some of his polyrhythm stuff. Like the really crazy polyrhythm stuff, and it's sick. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is what we want to see. Bring this to the people, you know? That Cucura pizza. Sorry, that's unrelated. You know, because like it made it to the internet, so like it's a lot of people, right? But it's like we want to see it in person and live.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, why don't you get more of those? Like so many of them are just. There's another crazy one, like one of Hiss's showcases at the Sound 1 fight battle in South Korea, which is like a small thing. Hiss and Big Man and someone else judges, and it's like from 2018. Hiss is way crazier now than he was then. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think
it's sick.
It's really
one of the best showcases I've ever heard. Yeah. Like especially at that point, I was listening. I was like, what are you dude? Like just no breaks, no bad, like no breaks, no he doesn't mess up the flow, he doesn't lose the feel. It's crazy. He modifies some of his routines that you've already heard that point so they're new and fresh. It's insane. And it's at this tiny it's in this like random like it's barely even an event hall. It's like one of those rooms.
Yeah,
it's like one of
it looks like a. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it looks like a hotel lobby, and it might actually be a hotel.
I think it's a hotel lobby.
Yeah, and you're like, dude, you know, and it's just. I think it's just one of those things where it's like I think a lot of the stuff that, and it's like maybe some of the things that I'm celebrating and about beatboxing and beatboxing performance just now isn't what the whole community celebrates. Sure, yeah, that makes sense. One person can't account for the views of an entire group of people, especially if that group of people is as big and as disparate and as diverse as the beatboxing community is. But it's just kind of like you look at the GBB rules and you kind of go, like, all right, yeah, we've seen you do this before, you know, but like, just you talk about, more about like who's coming. Like, what are they going to get to do? Because there's still judge showcases, which are great.
Yeah.
But, like, it's like, you get to do a judge showcase, right? If, I don't know. How long was Delo's? 25 minutes? 25 minutes? Somewhere in there, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting longer.
They're getting longer, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Spider Horses was crazy long because as well, it was like some Gene, some Spider Horse, some like other people came up too. And I'm like, do more of that. Let them do more of that. Like, come on now. You know what I mean? Or, and like, if Swiss Beatbox isn't going to do it, and obviously, like, this is not something any of us have any control over, but this is just an idea. Like, if I'm, all right, I want to pick someone safe just because. All right, Reaps won. There's not been any Reaps 1 news where he's all of a sudden banned from the beatboxing community. I'm pretty sure. So let's just say Reaps 1 for the sake of argument, because I feel like that's a safe bet for like he's not in any trouble.
Tomorrow he's gonna get banned.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for real. Right. But like,
Reaps victim on 12 counts of murder in the first degree.
Yeah, like something crazy. No, right. But like if I'm Reaps 1, right? And I'm there, they're like, all right, so want you to judge. Can you judge like solo and loop? And you're like, cool. Can I do a showcase? Yeah, sure. You do a showcase. Great, right? I'll be like, I need this amount of time, and I need this I want a couple mics up because I'm gonna bring, a couple mics up. We're gonna try to bring some other people in. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Your Reaps 1, you can do that, right? And then just, bring on Ball Z and bring on ZD or whatever and have a fantasy battle just for fun. Just vibe. Like, that's. Because it's one of those things. The crowd wants to see it. The crowd always wants to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think it's just it's one of those things. I think it's really easy to get really bogged down in all the stuff that we want to see, and kind of forget how much awesome stuff we already have seen and that we're gonna keep seeing. But it's still worth thinking about.
And at the risk of sounding like a spoiled little baby, right? Like. I think that some of those changes needed to be made, and some of those changes make sense. And I don't want to begrudge them income. Like I don't want to be like, no, you guys should be they're people. But I think it would have been much nicer if they had recognized their status not as the premier battling event of the beatbox world, but as simply the premier event of the beatbox world. Like,
exactly.
If these changes had supported, like, if they're like, listen, we're turning this into a 1 week long festival, right?
Yeah.
Every single day, you've got a different thing that you want to show up for. You can buy tickets for every event. Like, and I once again, at the recent well, baby, not aware of any of the cost that goes into like having things like this.
Oh yeah.
Like,
that's
what I want to see. Like, cause like if I want to see battles, if I want to see my favorite beatboxer battle. At this point in the beatboxing community's lifespan, I could find that very easily. Especially if I'm listening to an up and comer, right? There's a high chance that they're in a battle right now, like an online battle or a small battle, right? Like I'm not really watching.
And that kind of thing is getting live streamed with better and better quality all the time, and also uploaded both officially and unofficially in better and better quality all the time.
Yeah.
So
like there are other venues that can that the beatboxer of my choice or choices even could battle in, right?
Yeah.
But there is no event. There has still never been an event with the reach like GBB. And it really did when I was first starting out. It really felt like GBB was a celebration of beatbox. Every single big name, they were grinding for GBB, and GBB 2023. Every single person brought all their A game, brought everything. Right, all the names were there.
Brought the house down.
Yeah, all the names were there. All their best stuff. There was something for everybody to enjoy. Right, and like with the whooping, battling, like they're all just they were integral parts of the community, and so they're featured at GBB. And then if I wanted to go see battling, I'd go to a different event and see like, oh, okay, this event is where Napalm and Beatbox House were featured in, or a judge showcase, or all that kind of thing.
Right.
Like,
right. Just want more good beatboxing.
Now, Oliver, it's interesting you should say that, because back when I was a child, that event was the Beatbox Battle World Championship.
Yeah.
Right. GBB being viewed as that.
Right.
It's only started in 2018. When we had that amazing GBB 2018, and we had that what was viewed as a really disappointing Beatbox Battle World Championship 2018. I don't view it that way. I think Beatbox Battle World Championship 2018 was really good, despite obvious problems. But now, it's been 5 years since our the last GBB or Beatbox Battle World Championship, and this year, for the first time since 2018, we are getting GBB and Beatbox Battle World Championship in the same year. Beatbox Battle World Championship is confirmed for early August this year. I think in advance. When's GBB 2023 again?
Oh boy, let's find out. Did I? Oh no, I closed the tab. That's all right though. I could get it back up real quick.
It's October.
Yeah.
There you go.
18th through 21st of October in Tokyo.
And 18th to 21st.
Beatbox Battle World Championship 2023, I'm pretty sure is going to be in Berlin as August.
They're usually in Berlin.
2nd through 6th. So the question is, for me, GBB 2023 is now where you go for an international live beatbox battle. That's it. is the only name. Is Beatbox Battle World Championship going to be able to command the old pedigree that it once had? In order to make it so that there's more of a game in town, because Beatbox Battle World Championship is also holding, before the battle, it's holding a I think they call it a beatbox festival. It's exactly what's going to happen there, but so my question is, how do you guys think that's going to change the global landscape, if at all? Will Beatbox Battle World Championship 2023 flop? I mean, that would be depressing.
The thing is,
but it doesn't have loyalty anymore. I mean. Yeah,
right. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
I think no, you're good. Beatbox Battle World Championships. I think like the one thing you could say going for it is that like you could get between I'll say just competitors, you could get 55 individual competitors at GBB, and that absolutely do not do the Beatbox Battle World Championships, and you still have plenty of amazing beatboxers left over to have a fantastic Beatbox Battle World Championship. Right. I think, right?
Yeah.
Now the only issue is whether or not those people will even think of going. That's the question, because I don't know, especially because the community is quite young. There's not really a huge cultural memory. Like, I think there's gonna be enough people who are still around and still doing stuff that are gonna hear about the Beatbox Battle World Championships and they're gonna go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see their, like, let me put it this way. Beatbox Battle World Championships happens. I would be shocked if no Beatbox House member was there in any capacity. Yeah. Like, if they weren't there in any capacity, I would be like, what? You're always there. You're at everything. You're all the time. You're the Beatbox. That's like your thing. You know what I mean? So, and that's just an example. I think there's plenty of other individuals you could come up with, individuals or groups or tag teams or whatever you could come up with, where you'd be like, if they weren't there at all, I would be really surprised. So, I mean, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see what happens with that, I guess. But it is, yeah, it's like, it's really neat, I think, though, that like we get to have this discussion about something we really like in the first place.
Yep.
Just because it's like, like, not only is it kind of like, I mean, I touched on it there, the internet kind of sucks. A lot of things kind of suck now. A lot of things really suck, and a lot of the things that really suck aren't even things that I necessarily know about. Plenty of them are things that I know about, and I'm like, man, that sucks. And then someone else is like, you think that sucks? Hear about this? And I'm like, oh, okay.
You haven't even seen what suck is. Like, you just...
Can you maybe not, right? And I think the fact that we can even discuss this is amazing. And I think there's really, really awesome. I think as well, something that's really worth noting is that to have this kind of discussion about the future of it, I think about like what we want to see and about what we might expect to see, and how we as individuals and as communities can raise our expectations for beatboxing and beatboxing events in general. I think to first have that, you have to have hope, and someone has to give you a reason to hope, and the GBB All-Stars and so many more have given us plenty of reason. There's so much awesome beatboxing happening everywhere, all the time. We just want to see as much of it as we can, but yeah,
it's important because we're sitting at a crossroads. We really are.
Ooh, crossroads. Speaking of crossroads, why did the chicken cross the? Never mind. Okay, no. All right, I take it back. So, all right, I have another joke though. All right, so you guys ready? So you know, like Reese's Pieces, right? Reese's Pieces, excuse me, like the candy. Right. So
I know of it. Yeah,
I'm vaguely familiar.
Okay, yeah. So if I have like a bunch of Reese's Pieces, and I like die, but I have them like on my person, so I don't eat them. I just have them on my person, right? And then I like die. Do they then become deceased pieces?
I honestly thought you were going to say something along the lines of like, if Reese's Pieces fall and no one's around, do they ever make a sound? Like something like that. Like, I was like, where are you going with it?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
a
man.
different direction.
You really cracked yourself up with that one, John.
Oh yeah, no, I pulled a Mo Curls. Lawrence Mo Curls with that. Shout out to the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney fans in the audience.
Yeah.
Just wanted to give you something to.
Woo!
Just wanted to give you some.
Let's go.
You gotta give you a little something. That's my best impression of him. Tells a terrible joke and then just laughs about it to himself. I could have made the laugh if I made the laugh more annoying, it would have been really on brand. But speaking of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, this is just real quick. I thought about doing 5 blanks to get to know me. I think at least at the moment, the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney franchise might have to go in like the media franchise, or well, definitely the game, definitely like the games. But any fun categories that you can think of for 5 things to get to know you? Obviously,
games
we
to
talked
get
a lot
to
about
know.
beatboxing. Yeah, 5 games
to get to know you for me would be Ace Attorney 1, Ace Attorney 2, Ace Attorney 3, Ace Attorney 5, and Ace Attorney Investigations Miles in. That'd be that's my 5 games to get to know me. But
nice.
There's also,
I don't know, Oliver, any favorites?
There's also the mobile, there's also a internet PvP kind of like Ace Attorney. There's like a competitive Ace Attorney internet game.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Like how there's Pokemon Showdown on the internet. There's also an Ace Attorney version of that.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's fantastic. That's exactly the kind of stuff we like to see.
So
Pokemon.
So yeah. So
Pokemon's the most profitable media franchise, right?
Yeah. No. I mean.
I think
it
so.
makes sense.
By a lot. By a lot. Like it's not close, dude. Like literally, like Disney's, like even Disney's things pale in comparison. It's gotta be over 100 billion now profit or close to it.
Yeah.
Then next is like I want to say the Walt Disney Mickey Mouse house, like umbrella of characters, but like not all of the things that they own now, but just like those like Mickey and Donald and whatnot.
Right.
I think are on 70 to 80 billion dollars, something like that. Hello Kitty, not Hello Kitty, Sanrio, which is just the company.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the franchise that Hello Kitty is a part of is, it might actually just be called Hello Kitty. I don't know, but I know they have other characters. Is up there too, but it's just like all of them are like significantly older than Pokemon. Pokemon showed up in 1994 and just zoomed right up there. It's like Jesus.
Yeah, just dominated the field since day one.
Yeah, no. Anyone seen any stuff from the new Pokemon games?
Besides it
At
being laggy.
Besides the like
besides
the issues with them being video games. Yeah. Has anyone seen anything else?
No, I haven't.
Okay, fair enough. I haven't seen much either. I've seen Tinkaton though, which I think is really great. I'm a big fan.
Ooh.
It's I want to say it's a fairy and steel type, and it's a teeny tiny little pink pixie looking thing that's made of metal and has a gigantic hammer. And I'm like,
oh, I think I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. I'm like, hell yeah, good for you, good for you, fantastic. That's what I love to see. That's what we want to see in the world. You know, just like wakes up and is like, I'm going to cause problems for everyone on purpose. And I'm like, hell yeah, you do you, Tinkaton. I want to say it like picks. I remember this. Its Pokedex entry is like, yeah, this is Tinkaton. It's like 1 feet tall and like several hundred or thousand pounds or whatever ridiculous mass.
Yeah.
Right? And then like the Pokedex entry is it'll look for rogue pieces of metal or big rocks to throw and smack up with its hammer like a baseball bat, aiming for different flying type Pokemon. I think there's a specific one that it goes for. I don't remember what. But it's just like they just exist to bully another Pokemon, and I'm like, hell yeah, good job, Tinkaton.
Good job.
Good for you.
Way to live.
Yeah, fantastic. That's like really going goblin mode. That's what Tinkaton is.
Yeah.
That's the word of the year. I think.
Going Goblin mode.
Goblin mode.
Yeah, it made Word of the Year somehow.
Goblin mode.
By what standard?
By whatever standard that I want to say.
Like
Oxford Dictionary. It's Oxford Dictionary's Word of the Year.
I think it's a populist standard. I think it's which words are popular.
Yeah, I think it's Oxford Dictionary's Word of the Year, but I think that just means like what word was most looked up in the Oxford Dictionary database. I think that might be it. I think that's it. I'm not sure.
That's horrifying.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe there's a fan voting element of it. You know, maybe there's like, maybe there's a fan voting element. Maybe they have, I don't know, like the top like 100 journalists in the world. They're just like, all right, give us your vote for Word of the Year, and like 80 of them were just like Goblin mode. Easy. Next question.
Sicko mode. Move on.
For Word of the Year for me was Aleatoric for the 20th year running. It's just
nice.
an unrivaled string of domination from Aleatoric. Oh, did you see Video Game Donkeys Game of the Year?
Big mode, yeah.
No, what is it?
Super Mario Brothers 2 again!
It's
Baby, let's go! Super Mario Brothers 2 wins it again!
That's really funny.
Still the king.
Still
I was thinking video games came out this year. I don't even know. I mean, last year.
I think his legitimate choice was. Oh gosh, I forget.
Ragnarok? Did that come out last year?
It did come out last year. End of last year.
God of War Ragnarok?
Yeah, that came out.
Yeah, it was 2022. Yeah.
Yeah.
I that might have won for him. No, it was Elden Ring. Ring.
Fuck yeah, Elden Ring. Duh. Elden Ring did come out last year. I love Elden Ring. Elden Ring's got to be. It's probably my game of the year.
It's
Elden Ring's
probably
fantastic.
Game of the year, yeah.
Elden Ring is awesome.
It's honestly close to like game of the decade. Like it's so much content.
Well, which decade though? You're talking like just the last 10 years or like 2020.
If the continuation of game development continues like this, the next 20 years, the next 10 years.
The next 10 years?
I could see
that. Yeah, Elden Ring is dope.
I would be putting up.
I highly recommend it. Have you guys played it or seen much gameplay of Elden Ring?
I've seen
I love it so much.
It's really good.
It's so good. I love it. Like, I love it almost too much. Elden Ring is amazing. Yeah. It's so great. Which is saying something. I'm terrible at video games, and Elden Ring is a FromSoft game, which is made for the people who are like, that's not what. I'm not who these games are for. Literally, no FromSoft game is for me, and yet it's still one of my absolute favorite games ever. Elden Ring rules. I think what other? Oh no. All right, I got it. So my coming in a close second is everyone's favorite new rhythm game, Trombone Champ. You ever seen any clips of that?
I have, yeah, and also the mods.
Fantastic. The mods, yeah. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. I'll have to show that sometime because I have it actually.
Gotta play it on the stream.
It's
Death for Death.
Yeah.
It is a surprisingly challenging game.
It is really. I can't play the trombone. I can play other instruments though, but not the trombone. Boy, does this game not make me feel like I can't play the trombone like even more than I actually can. Yeah. You know, it's like I play it and I'm like, wow, that's even worse than like I thought.
Yeah.
Even worse than an actual trombone.
Exactly. Oh man, look at that. That's crazy. Sorry, no, I'm looking at like the actual Game of the Year awards. I'm looking at what else came out. Oh yeah, Bayonetta. That's right.
Cyberpunk, much to the chagrin of Sonic fans, won Waiver of Love.
What did? Cyberpunk?
Sonic. Oh no, sorry, say Cyberpunk.
Oh no, I'm saying what won.
Yeah, Cyberpunk won.
It's not good though.
It's gotten better.
Yeah, sure, but it's not good. I didn't buy it. I want to be clear here, but like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just being mean. I'm being mean on purpose. But to be fair, Cyberpunk, like the game and the game company, CD Projekt, they've earned it.
Yeah.
Stray. I still haven't played that. I want to play that.
I watched the game for Stray. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Man, look at that.
Super Mario Brothers 2.
So many video games come out every year. Wait, Tunic is new this year? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. It's another Metroidvania, right? Kinda.
Similar style, yeah.
It's close. Well, it's maybe not it's not 2D though, is it?
No, it's not 2D.
So it's not really a Metroidvania. It's It's a Souls light. Then
I think. I can't
maybe.
remember. Maybe.
No, because like Dark Souls, right? Because like Metroidvania is just Dark Souls but 2D.
Yeah, I'm blanking now on.
I don't know, man. I'm not a gamer. What does it matter? He says, having sounded very much like a gamer for the last Lord knows how long.
I'm just excited for the open world Ace Attorney game.
Oh, dude, that'd be fucking
The
sick.
Harry
I
Potter
would
game
love
has
that.
already broken records despite it not being out yet.
Wait,
Sorry?
broken what records though?
Like
Good or bad?
Like buying records. Like people have been buying that game in droves.
What game?
The new Harry Potter game?
Why?
Oh, really?
For what?
Oh, the Wizarding World one?
Yeah, it's not even
I
out.
think-
they're buying it.
It's not even out.
It must be people like surely you all did you all play the Harry Potter games that for PC back in 2001? Like the
No,
Harry Potter and the
thankfully.
Sorcerers. This is bad. What I like is you can really trace with the Harry Potter franchise, just the mainline PC games, what like the dominant genres of the day, because they always just chose the dominant genre of the time, or of really of like 2 years ago, and then just made a terrible version of that, for like low budget version of that for PC for a movie time. So it was a platformer back for like 1, 2, 3, and then in 4 it was this like awful
First person shooter? Or something else?
No. 4 was just before. In 5, in 6, it became an FPS. But in 4, it was just this weird amalgamation. I forget when that came out. The ish 2000s, but before the FPSs had really started to dominate. So it was this like terrible
So it's like
third person thing.
6 or 7
Yeah.
maybe.
There was like no gameplay at all, and then 5, 6, and
nice.
7 were shooters, and then
Nice.
this new one, of course, is like an open world style. But it's just the laziest possible game development for every
Yeah.
Harry Potter tie-in.
Nah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, it's definitely the laziest possible game direction because they're literally just following the trends. But it's just to be fair, at least with go ahead.
I made a Harry Potter game, and it was a typing tutor. I made a psychological horror typing tutor.
I remember
That's
this
the
fantastic.
logical way of making a Harry Potter game, because you have to type in the spells. So I'm
like
just
it.
waiting for the typing of the Dead style typing tutor AAA Harry Potter game, but alas, EA. The EA is just not seeing fit to
EA
release what the
is
fans
really playing
want.
hardball with us on that one.
Yeah.
It's getting logged in the back. And the thing is, even if they do pick it up, it's going straight to development hell. Like you can just feel it. Ugh, terrible.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say at least with open world though. Open world is just objectively fantastic if you do it right though. Open world rules. That's what I love, man. Let me loosen a big old world. Let me go out there and vibe. You know? Because like I need every now and again you just want to go goblin mode, you don't want to go goblin mode in real life because there are consequences there.
There are
But if you
consequences.
give me an open world game where I can go goblin mode, we're all set.
There you go.
I should look up Goblin Mode. I think I've heard it a lot. I sort of know what it means for text clues, but I'd like to see. Oxford
it
English
just
Dictionary
means
explain
being
it.
your worst self, but like
Yeah.
being your worst self like a folkloric goblin though.
Yeah.
It's not being your worst self like being.
It's like being like a petty self.
Yeah, exactly. Your worst self in a small, insignificant, petty way, like
Yeah.
just being a little.
So not
jerk,
like all
not
the
being
murders.
evil.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
gotcha,
So like
gotcha.
if you ever feel the urge to go like hit, that's you being goblin. That's you going goblin mode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. If you giggle loathsomely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If you ever have.
Yeah.
If you
If you do
ever have
that,
that
that's like
urge,
yeah,
you're
that's a
going
That was
goblin
a
mode kind of vibe.
solid, loathsome giggle.
Thank you.
good.
I appreciate that.
And I just the phrase "giggle loathsomely" just tickles me. I just love that.
It's a good one. It's a good phrase. It's top tier. It's like I'm trying to think. Like I'm trying to think of times I went goblin mode. Man, that's tough. Oliver, do you have any? Like in real life or in
Of
video
going
games?
goblin
Can you think of
mode?
any? Yeah. Like actual real life times.
Yeah, when you kill steal in League of Legends.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's literally that. It's when the person's clearly going to die,
that's true.
and you flash and like ulti them for no reason.
Well, to be fair, in any competitive FPS
like
or
it's
shooter
just,
in general,
you just
right?
show up, you don't do anything, boom, dead. Okay,
Or sorry.
my kill, and then
Sorry, League isn't an FPS, but you know what I mean. It's whatever.
squeal away. But anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Going
just
goblin
like
mode.
yeah, like every now and again, like like choosing the wrong dialogue option in an RPG. That's another fun one, where like they obviously want you to be nice, and I'm like, you know what? No, fuck you. This like kid comes up to you crying, is like, my parents are gone. Can you help me find them? Nah, I'm good.
Nope, I'm okay.
They're probably dead, by the way, and then you just walk away.
Yep.
It's not a real kid. He's fine. Don't worry about it. He's fine.
He's okay.
You'll be all right. He likes it better alone. He can. I don't know. What do kids do when they're alone? You can like have candy and stuff, and like pee in the shower. Who's gonna tell him no? Who's gonna tell him no?
Yeah, exactly.
He can do what he wants.
That's what kids do.
Roman's like, my lips are sealed. My lips are sealed. I was paid very, very good money by people in very high places to not reveal the information of what kids do when they're alone, and I am making sure I collect that paycheck. It has been rough for me this month. I am keeping quiet. Hear that, Dave?
Man.
Dave and Dale? Yeah? All right. Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Yeah. And that's Roman. All right, yeah, that's the bit over. That's the bit over. Yeah, good.
That isn't a blurred out microwave. That's just a man in a suit and sunglasses glaring at me, making sure that I keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, no, he's standing there.
It's
just standing there.
The proverbial big brother turned literal big brother.
Oh yeah, no, literally, he's just standing there. And like all big brothers, he's standing there like absolutely silently, but on the inside, he's really fighting the urge to laugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's lucky that like none of the others
experience as a big brother.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's like. You just sort of show up, like stare for a little bit, and then you just leave, and like you leave their door open too, because they hate it, and you just walk away. Yeah. That's what it's like. Yeah, I don't know. I think we've pretty much exhausted all the topics we brought here today. I think it's clear that I think it's clear once again that as if we or you lot at home needed any evidence, we can talk about literally anything if you let us, and boy does the live stream let us.
Yeah,
that we're gonna close back the curtain, and
all right.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we can sign off the stream now, and we definitely have plenty to talk about. I think in any upcoming episode.
Absolutely.
Of the pod.